Hey guys, Nick here with ChilLAX Customs, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do my version of the triangle top string. It varies slightly different from other people, and a few people have been wondering on how to do it. So I figured I'll go ahead and make a tutorial of it while I'm stringing Nick Grasby's stick. Nick Grasby plays pro box for the Canadian Lacrosse League in Ontario, and he plays for the Durham Turf Dogs. So we went ahead and went with some key Kelly green and black pinstripe X mesh to go ahead and go with the team theme. So what we're going to do is, I don't know how most of you do your top strings, but I figured everybody does the 9 diamond top string. So that's what we're going to do. And we have folded over the 9 diamonds over here. And just so we know, we're going to be using holes 2, 4, 6, and 8 to attach to the top of the scoop. And in that case, we'll also be using 2, 4, 6, and 8 on these holes too, because they put quite a few up here. So anyways, we'll be using sidewall holes 1 and 9, or diamonds 1 and 9, to attach them to the sidewall holes. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start. So we're going to go through. I'm going to start on the first hole of the sidewall, and we're going to go through the face front of the mesh, and I'll loop it back on the top side of the knot. I kind of have OCD, I don't know why. I loop it over the top side because we're going up and over the top instead of going down the sidewall. So anyways, just a little something I do. But get that nice and tight, and then we're going to go back through the face, and instead of coming out the back side like some of us, or like I've seen a lot of people do, instead of coming out the back side, we're going to go, I go under the fold. So I string mine under the fold, and since we're using holes, or diamonds 2, 4, 6, and 8, what I'm going to essentially do is come through the underside and come out through the other side of the peak, I guess we'll call it, the peak of the diamond, this tip of the diamond. We're going to come out through the far side, so I'll show you right now, and then we're going to go through the front side of the scoop, so what I did is, instead of coming out the back side of the mesh, I just went through the face of the front, and went under the fold. And when I did that, I came out under the far side of the tip of the diamond. So after I do that, I'm going to go through the face of the scoop, come back down the other side of the second diamond, and I'm going to go loop it in front of my previous string. So what that's going to do is it's a simple interlock is what I'm doing, but I'm doing it around the peak of the diamond. So if I do it correctly, they'll all be nice and even. I just do this simply to attach and make sure that the center of the diamond, the middle of the diamond, is going to be in the middle of the hole. So it's not slightly to the left, slightly to the right, it's all nice and even, like you can see there. So if you guys can see, I went under the fold and then kind of looped around and hooked that diamond and interlocked it to the scoop. So we're just going to keep doing that like we would a regular top string, It's just a regular top string at first. We're just interlocking the diamonds to the scoop, but we're going under the fold instead of behind the flap, I guess you could say. So as you can kind of see, I'm going to go back and show you what I actually do to make sure it's all perfect and symmetrical and make it kind of cosmetically looking good. So if you can see right here, this interlock, this top string is kind of, I guess, slanted that way. I guess you can, it's going in the motion of which the top string is going. So I'm going to go back real quick and kind of loosen this string up, and what I do is I'm going to pull this way with it to tighten it up. If you could just see, if you just saw it move there, I'm going to pull that way, and then what I'm going to do with the string is kind of tighten it up and pull back. You don't want to pull it too far this way because then it'll go that way, but you use the string, the right tension is what I'm trying to say. You got to use the right tension to kind of get it even. So I'd say that's about, looks straight with the contour shape of the head. So now we move on to the next one. So there, as you guys can see, they're very somewhat going with the shape of the head, and I'll kind of tell you kind of how to fix that by using the other string, and I'll kind of show that in a second on how we can compensate sometimes for that. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead. And sometimes you'll find that it gets kind of stubborn, and you can kind of push that back string over with your thumb and kind of help it out to scoot it over. So just right there. Okay, so now what we do here is we are now under the flap. If you can see, we're now coming out the end of the side of the flap. I didn't come out the back side of the mesh and go along the back side. I went under the flap. So right now, to tie it off to the head, we're going to go from the inside, we're going to go through the front fold of the flap, go through the sidewall. We're going to loop back around the mesh to lock the sidewall into the hole, or lock the top of the mesh onto the head. And we just kind of reverse it. I'm going to go under the string now, come under it, because if we were to go the other way with it, we would loop around and it would go up top. So I just don't like my strings being tangled, I guess you can say. Anyways, what I'm going to do is get that nice and tight. See if I can get this double knot nice and tight. Don't do this, kids. Try to, if you can't figure out a different way. It's not really, I guess, good for your teeth. My girlfriend's a dental hygienist and she likes to yell at me, but I like to use my teeth to kind of at least get the strings a little tight. Yeah. So now we've got our top string, just our first part of the top string. As you guys can see, anyways, like I was saying earlier, I myself just kind of do things. I have little methods and things I've come up with over time, and like I told you guys, you know, some of you, we might not fully be able to get this knot really tight as we'd like to. In due time, that'll lead to it kind of loosening, and the top string kind of just, you know, it leaves room for error. And in that case, I like to start with my second string and go from the opposite side. So instead of coming from that side, same side I did with the first string, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to kind of pull this knot out of the way so I can get this string in. Once I get it in. So, like I said, since we're not able, or sometimes I'm not able to get that knot as tight as I'd like to, and like I said, that's going to leave the string loosening up over time. So I pull that knot out of the way, and I take the second string and I take that knot and I pull it in as tight as I can, and I try to, what I do is try to switch them places. So bring that one up here, and what that does is that I can take the slack that I have in this first string and kind of keep it from affecting my top string by taking that knot and pulling it in as tight as I can up there, essentially blocking it off and not letting it loosen over time. So if you kind of get what I'm saying, that, you know, it's not gonna go anywhere. So anyways, that's kind of what I do. And like I said, how our strings sometimes kind of like to angle, and which way the sidewall's going, we kind of like to pull that way and yank that way, so the strings might kind of go at an angle. What I do is, what I'm going to show you here, is I'll take that, and when I loop around my triangle, oh my goodness, does not want to go in. Here is, I just simply go from the top first sidewall hole up through the face of that first diamond, or that first top string hole. I come back under this side of the mesh and I'll loop around, and with this loop I take it and I pull this way with it, that way I can pull that string that way and kind of make it straight. So you can see back here how there's a little gap between the gray string and the green string. I kind of try to pull that together like so, and I'll take my finger and try to just hold it in place as I go through the back side. And just kind of give it a nice little tug, make sure it's nice and tight. So there that is. And then what I'm going to do is go, since I go under the flap, I'm going to hook kind of that next that peak of the diamond. I'm gonna make that's what I like about this, is it pulls that nice, the triangle top string, it pulls it nice and tight to the top every diamond. So what I'm gonna do is be careful too, because try not to loop it around that first string, and pull that first string up and tighten it with it also. So that's what it's going to look like. And then I'm going to go do the second hole. Straightening. Okay, so pull tight. There it is. Okay guys, so we went ahead and skipped forward to about the last stage here, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I do to end it all and to, kind of tie it off. So like I said on this side about the knots being that tight, like when you first start off, that's when I started off from this side, I have that knot fully pulled and I have all the tension I can get into it. So it's not going to loosen up on this side. So when I go to tie it over here on this side, I can't really fully get that full tightness that I can get with this side when I started off with. So now that we started off with this side with the second string to kind of compensate and block that slack from loosening up in the first string, we're kind of going to do the same concept over here. So when you pull, if you notice on some holes, on sidewall holes, it's kind of tough to get two strings through, but you can do it sometimes if you just squeeze it somehow. So anyways, you'll find that it's easier to kind of come through the bottom of this string, or the bottom of the hole under this string. So what we're going to do is kind of what we did to the last one. We're going to try to pull the gray knot right here. We're going to switch places with the green, and what that's going to do is that's actually going to keep the green string in place. So I can kind of let it sit there, and it's not, it's going to sit there pretty tightly. So I really don't have to use my teeth or anything for this one, and I just get my double knot going, and wait a second. So once I do that, I'm just going to try to get it as tight as I possibly can, because that's the key here. We don't want it coming loose later on down the road. So kind of twist and turn and tug a little. Okay, so there. Now that's tight. There's not any real play up here, but just to make sure it won't get loose, we're going to take that now and we're going to switch it back down. That way this green string is now under this gray string, kind of like how that concept is over here. So now this green string, if it had any slack, is now blocked by the original first string that we put in. And yeah, so it stays tight. So that is our triangle top string, guys. So, as you can see, I'm gonna tie it up here. Tops doesn't have any real play. Nice tension. There you go. Alright guys, that was my version of the triangle top string. Like I said, it varies from stringer to stringer. If you find your preference, by all means use it. I'm just showing you guys what I do and kind of just giving you the rundown on why I do it and how. So I guess we will now string up these sidewalls, and then my next video will be showing you guys how to do our weaved bottom string. So if you guys liked this video and found that it was helpful, please leave me a comment or two. Give it a little thumbs up if you like. Go ahead and subscribe, and share this with your buddies. Spread the knowledge. I hope this helped you guys. So thanks a lot, and have a good one.